Hi guys, my name is AP and welcome to my channel. I'm a presentation and a storytelling coach. In this channel, I want to help you become a better speaker and a better storyteller. So what I will be doing is that I will be reviewing some of the great TED Talks, Toastmaster speeches, and any interesting speech that we can find online. So the goal is to identify the techniques that these great speakers are using to engage, entertain, and even educate their audiences. So if you want to improve your public speaking and storytelling abilities, I think this is the right place for you. So consider subscribing and hit the bell icon. In today's video, I'll be reviewing a speech delivered by Mark Bezos. If the name sounds familiar, it is true. Mark is the brother of Jeff Bezos. The reason why I've chosen this speech is because it's very short. It's only 4 minutes long. But within that 4 minutes, Mark used a variety of tools and techniques to make his speech engaging, entertaining, and he provided a powerful message at the end. So let's go ahead and watch it. I'll pause the video along the way to identify some of the tools and techniques he was using to make his speech great. Let's go ahead and watch it.
Back in New York, I am the head of development for a nonprofit called Robin Hood. When I'm not fighting poverty, I'm fighting fires as the assistant captain of a volunteer fire company.
He had an interesting introduction. But what you can tell from his introduction is that he created credibility right away, because he was saying that he was the head of nonprofit, and at the same time he is a volunteer firefighter. That shows that he is really into helping others and volunteering and then making a community better. Yeah, let's go.
Now, in our town, where the volunteers supplement a highly skilled career staff, you have to get to the fire scene pretty early to get in on any action. I remember my first fire. I was the second volunteer on the scene, so there was a pretty good chance I was going to get in. But still, it was a real foot race against the other volunteers to get to the captain in charge to find out what our assignments would be. When I found the captain, he was having a very engaging conversation with the homeowner, who was surely having one of the worst days of her life. Here it was, the middle of the night. She was standing outside in the pouring rain, under an umbrella, in her pajamas, barefoot, while her house was in flames.
He was very descriptive. After listening to what he has said, you could even imagine, when you close your eyes, the house owner under the umbrella in the pouring rain in pajamas without shoes. So that is taking the audience into the story. So within a very short sentence, he managed to do that, and we could even felt that we were with him watching the whole scenes from the sideline. So this is very important skill and very important for us to bring or take the audience into your scenes or into your story. He did that perfectly without using a lot of words. So in your next speech or in your next presentation or in your next story, you need to remember to bring your audience into the scenes or into the story.
The other volunteer who had arrived just before me, let's call him Lex Luthor, got to the captain first and was asked to go inside and save the homeowner's dog. The dog! Oh, I was stunned with jealousy. Here was some lawyer or money manager who for the rest of his life gets to tell people that he went into a burning building to save a living creature, just because he beat me by 5 seconds. Well, I was next. The captain waved me over, said, "Bezos, I need you to go into the house. I need you to go upstairs, past the fire, and I need you to get this woman a pair of shoes." I swear.
Here, one thing that we have to pay attention to is his dialogues. in most of the speeches or presentations that we deliver, we say it as it is. But the way he delivered his speech was that he was reliving the moment, and he was in the dialogue with the character in the story. You can see that he wasn't even looking at the audience when he was doing that. He was talking between the captain and himself. That is also another way of making your stories come alive and making your characters come alive. And then, did you notice that he got a great laugh when he mentioned that another volunteer firefighter who arrived at the scenes before him? He called him Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor, if you don't know, he's the bad guy from the Superman. So he was using a metaphor, and he was referring himself as a Superman, and the bad guy who came before him as the Lex Luthor. That's why the audience connected and audience laughed at that. And you could also see that his body language is very natural. So when he was saying so you could even feel his pain. So that is also important, that when we are using our hands and bodies, depending on the scenes, depending on what's happening, use the body language properly.
So, not exactly what I was hoping for, but off I went. Up the stairs, down the hall, past the real firefighters who were pretty much done putting out the fire at this point, into the master bedroom to get a pair of shoes. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I'm no hero. I carried my payload back downstairs, where I met my nemesis and the precious dog by the front door. We took our treasures outside to the homeowner, where, not surprisingly, his received much more attention than did mine. A few weeks later, the department received a letter from the homeowner thanking us for the valiant effort displayed in saving her home. The act of kindness she noted above all others: someone had even gotten her a pair of shoes. You know, in both my vocation at Robin Hood and my avocation as a volunteer firefighter, I am witness to acts of generosity and kindness on a monumental scale. But I'm also witness to acts of grace and courage on an individual basis.
Over here, I hope you noticed, he used his body language and he used his hands really well. If you notice, he said monumental, then he really bring out his body, open up his body and show his hand with the size of it. And then, contrasting to that, when it comes to individual and minute contribution, his hands is like this, and he was just gesturing using only 2 fingers. That is also a great way to use your body language to show the differences in the sizes.
You know what I've learned? They all matter. So as I look around this room at people who either have achieved or are on their way to achieving remarkable levels of success, I would offer this reminder: don't wait. Don't wait until you make your first million to make a difference in somebody's life. If you have something to give it now. Serve food at a soup kitchen, clean up a neighborhood park, be a mentor. Not every day is going to offer us a chance to save somebody's life, but every day offers us an opportunity to affect one. So get in the game. Save the shoes. Thank you.
I really love his ending because he ended very powerfully with a great message. If you notice, he used the power of 3 when he talked about don't wait and get in the game, and then even save a shoe. Before that, he also used another power of 3 when he talked about you can serve food at the soup kitchen, or you can clean up a neighborhood park, or even mentor somebody. So those are the power of 3s, what we call the power of 3s. When you want to describe something, instead of just giving 1 or 2 description, if you give 3 description, it is much more powerful. So in your next speech and presentation, think of ways to use the power of 3. And if you look around, the power of 3 is everywhere. I mean literally everywhere. If you are in marketing, you will know that the letters of companies, famous companies, are in threes, the slogans are in threes, and it is just magical that when you describe something in three ways or three different descriptions, it is much more sticky and it is much more powerful. So that's another point to take note of. And then another interesting thing was that he gave us a quote, a memorable quote, which says, not every day is going to offer you a chance to save someone's life. Then he used a contrast, but every day offer you a chance to affect someone. So that is the one sentence that summarized the whole entire speech in a very nice, memorable, and contrasting way. So what we call it, this is called the tagline or the headline that Steve Jobs would like to use. He will always say, he will always summarize his whole entire speech in one or two sentences, and Mark just did that as well. So there are a lot of things that we could learn from here. He's a great storyteller. He was very conversational. You don't feel as though he was giving a speech, but he was just having a conversation with his friends. He used his body language very well. He chose his words pretty well, and then his description and storytelling was very vivid, so that we could almost feel as if we are in his story. So those are the things that we could all learn from, even though it is only 4-minute speech, but it is emotional, it is impactful, and inspiring. So in your next speech, use these techniques and tools to make your speech more engaging, more educational, and more entertaining as well. If you ask me, what is one thing that he could change to improve himself better? So that will be, I will suggest, or I think he should slow down a little bit. Give time for the audience to laugh and react to what he said or what he did. Because if you notice, when the audience were laughing, he continued immediately after. So those are the things that he could change to make it, because he still got a lot of time, so he could change those to be more engaging and making more impactful and powerful. Even in the last sentence, he just left straight away after he finished his sentence, instead of waiting for the audience to clap and cheer for him. If you see, even the host has to call him back because he left immediately. Let me show you.
Come back.
He said, "Come back, come back." That might be because he was feeling a bit of nerve, so he was not pausing that much, and he was just, I'm done, and I just left. So those were the very little thing that, maybe only one thing that he could improve to really, really make his speech perfect. So I hope this short speech give you an idea of how do we listen, and then also how do we make use of these techniques to make our speeches and presentation better than what we are used to be. I hope you like it, and I hope you pick up as many tools, tips, and tricks as I know, and I will be sharing you more in the next video. So see you in my next video. Cheers.